Good evening to you all, and thank you for joining us here on Rwanda Television News tonight. Our hope is that you had a beautiful day. Now, here's a sneak peek of our edition. The National Bank of Rwanda has increased the central bank rate to 8.25%, up from 7.25%, where it had remained since February last year. Members of both chambers of the Parliament of Rwanda say that cooperation, mutual understanding, and the sharing of responsibilities between spouses are essential in order to build the capable and stable families that the country aspires to achieve. We are very glad to have your company tonight, coming to you straight from the heart of Africa, Kigali. My name is Martina Abera. The National Bank of Rwanda has increased the central bank rate to 8.25%, up from 7.25%, where it had remained since February this year. The move is aimed at addressing rising inflation, helping Rwandans maintain their purchasing power, and preventing the Rwandan franc from continuing to lose value. Residents from different parts of the country say that the continued rise in prices has increasingly affected their ability to purchase basic necessities. These concerns raised by citizens were also confirmed by the governor of the National Bank of Rwanda, Soraya Hakuziyaremye, who explained that the situation is partly a result of the conflict in the Middle East involving the United States and Israel against Iran. The conflict pushed market prices upward, with inflation rising to 13% in April from 9.2% in March. She said this was also one of the reasons the central bank decided to raise the benchmark interest rate.
In view of those persistent inflationary pressures and upward revision to our inflation outlook, the Monetary Policy Committee decided to increase the central bank rate to 8.25% in the next 3 months. This is an increase of 100 basis points or 1%. And the decision to increase the CBR is a measured step to bring back inflation within our target band, to safeguard price stability, which is a necessary condition to sustain economic growth, but also protect, most importantly, the purchasing power of Rwandans over the medium term. And as National Bank of Rwanda, we are committed to data-driven and forward-looking policy decisions to ensure that inflation comes back to our target of 5% in the medium term. And so from the Monetary Policy Committee, key messages. One is that we have strong buffers in terms of a trade deficit that's narrowing, improvement of our exports, which had an impact on the stabilization of our currency. The domestic economy remains resilient, but we know there are global headwinds that we must face as an economy. And our main concern as committee was really on inflation, which last month was at 13%. Our forecast for 2026 is an average headline inflation of 13.9%, and then coming back down to 7.4% in 2027, and hence looking at the global environment and as well as inflationary pressures, as Monetary Policy Committee, we are committed to ensure a return to the 5% objective in the medium term by using our monetary policy, but also ensuring that there are government measures that complement our monetary policy to bring back inflation within the target band.
However, Governor Soraya also noted that Rwanda's economy has remained resilient during this quarter, with several indicators showing positive growth.
On the Rwanda's domestic economy, it continues to perform well. We recall that the GDP growth in 2025 was at 9.4%, supported by broad-based activity across all sectors. There was very strong performance from the services sector, from the industry sector and agriculture. And although we will have the GDP numbers for the first quarter of 2026 in June, Our own composite index of economic activity reflects sustained growth in aggregate demand driven by solid performance in trade, in transport, financial services, with an increase for the first 3 months at 16.5%. So this indicates the trend that we expect to see in the first quarter in terms of economic growth. The Financial Stability Committee also reviewed the progress following the consolidation of Umurenge SACCOs into district SACCOs. And one of the main benefits that we are seeing now is interest rates for agricultural loans in district SACCOs that have decreased from 24% to 14% after the consolidation. We looked also at the interest rates, average interest rates for business loans. They also decreased slightly from 19% to 18%, while mortgage loans interest rates in district SACCOs on average now they're at 17% compared to 20% when Umurenge SACCOs were not consolidated. The payment systems is the last subsector that we assessed as a committee, which still shows continued growth in digital payment adoption, with electronic payments value to GDP now at 347% for the first quarter of 2026, and this is in comparison to 330%, while the value of digital payments reached 21.6 trillion from January to March 2026, increasing from 17.4 trillion in the first 3 months of 2025. We also assessed e-cash, the progress in e-cash payments and its adoption, with the volume of transactions continuing to increase year on year, as well as the value of transactions that have now reached 27.7 billion from January to March 2026.
The quarterly report from the National Bank indicates that pressure on the Rwandan franc has eased, with the currency depreciation rate falling from 0.51% compared to 2.31% during the same period in 2025. Exports of coffee and minerals increased by 63.2%, also driven by higher export volumes and favorable international market prices, while other exports rose by 64.8%. Re-exported goods imported from overseas and sold to neighboring countries increased by 48.8%, while imports rose by 5.6%. As a result, the trade deficit narrowed by 23.2% compared to 2025. In the financial sector, total assets increased by 22%, reaching 16.5 trillion Rwandan francs. Banking sector assets rose by 20%. The pension sector grew by 34.9%, while the insurance sector expanded by 9.8%. Moving ahead, members of both chambers of the Parliament of Rwanda say that cooperation, mutual understanding, and the sharing of responsibilities between spouses are essential in order to build the capable and stable families that the country aspires to achieve. These were among the issues discussed during a consultative meeting that brought together various institutions to examine the principle of complementarity. The consultative meeting on gender complementarity, which brought together participants from different sectors, served as an important opportunity to analyze the various challenges facing the Rwandan family. In seeking solutions, participants emphasized the need for cooperation in all aspects of family life among family members. The resident representative of the United Nations Development Programme, Fatmata Loveta Sese, stated the progress Rwanda has made over the past 30 years in empowering women and giving them a voice in decisions affecting them has demonstrated that women are a vital force that should not be overlooked in the country's development journey. The Speaker of the Chamber of Deputies, Gertrude Kazarwa, noted that although significant progress has has been made in promoting gender equality and complementarity between men and women, no one should become complacent. The consultative meeting on the principle of complementarity was organized by the Forum for Rwandan Women Parliamentarians. It was attended by parliamentarians, government officials, development partners, and representatives of several United Nations agencies in Rwanda. Former WNBA All-Star and Boston Celtics executive Alison Pfister is in Rwanda for the Basketball Africa League playoffs, where she is leading a series of mentorship, leadership, and community outreach initiatives aimed at empowering young women and promoting youth development through basketball. Through the Ball for Her program, Pfister will engage aspiring female athletes, mentor young leaders, and our colleague Adam Squizera earlier was able to catch an interview with Alison Pfister, who reiterated on these programs.
Right. So it was an easy thing to do. Unfortunately, the Celtics lost in the playoffs this year, so I had some time where I could travel. But the moment I realized that I could, be available to come to the BAL finals, and that I could do the programming through BAL for Her, it was a no-brainer. It's an honor to be here. My very first mentee through this program that we have through the BAL for Her and Speak Up Africa, it's a mentorship program. The young woman is from Rwanda, and an opportunity to reconnect and to meet, some other mentees that will be here during this week for me is very, very important. This type of mentorship program and all of the initiatives that BAL for Her have are about planting seeds in young women in Africa that, there is a space for them in the place that I inhabit in leadership. And it doesn't just have to be in basketball. It's any sport across the other parallel industries that touch sports. So, it's a very important time, and I'm glad I'm here to contribute.
Before diving into these activities we engage in across this week, it's your first time here in Rwanda?
My first time.
How was it?
It's amazing. I arrived last night, and my mentee met me at the airport, and this morning we went together to the Genocide Memorial so that we could, just take a pause and remember, and give thanks. And so it's been amazing so far, and I can't wait to, engage with the girls at the BAL for Her Elevate Camp and to finally see some basketball games. So.
Yeah, I don't know if you read something about Rwanda. Rwanda is a country which champions he for she initiatives.
Yeah.
Was it something that attracted you to come for this BAL for Her initiative?
I've always been a fan of he for she. I think that is a very important initiative that should pervade every aspect of not just countries that are developing, but across the world. Equity is an important thing that we need to achieve, and so now that I know that Rwanda embraces he for she, that just means it's that much more important for me to be here.
So let's talk about the BAL for Her Elevate Camp here in Rwanda. You are focusing heavily on off-court development like mental performance, nutrition and leadership rather than just basketball drills, which we normally know. So why is this a holistic approach the real secret to sustaining the growth of women's sports on this African continent?
I think it's important to take a holistic approach because, it's not just about being skilled on the court. It's not just about focusing on one facet of building a young woman who feels empowered, who feels confident, who feels equipped to go out into the workforce. If there are no opportunity, then there's this disconnect. So no doubt it's important to look at it from a holistic perspective.
I think this might be the one last question before we end this conversation. You are also traveling to refugee camp, Chiziba refugee camp, with NBA's Cares and Service now. How powerful is basketball as a tool for resilience?
Yeah.
And what does it mean to you personally to bring this life skills clinics to youth in the community spaces?
Yeah, you know, the fact that we can visit a refugee camp, you know, we have to keep things in perspective. It's an opportunity for the kids at the camp to take a brief moment away from, you know, daily life to you know, disconnect and engage in sport. And I think through sport, you can learn things that you can later apply to other facets of your life, like being a good teammate, learning communication skills, all the things that you learn through sport and basketball. But I'm excited to learn from them. They have a level of resilience that not many of us know, and I'm looking forward to being there to engage and just learn from them and have a good day.
Before we conclude, having great talents is one thing, but having giants is another. Is it something which is possible on this African continent to have both talents and giants in basketball?
Oh gosh, absolutely, absolutely. What better continent, what better space than the African continent to meld the two, talent and giants? I mean, you see the footprint of African basketball all over the world, all over the NBA, all over the NCAA, and we get to celebrate it here in Rwanda at the BAL finals. Like, what better story is there?
Thank you, Alison Pfister, for your time.
Absolutely, thank you for having me.
Yeah, you can stay with us for more coverage from the Basketball Africa League Finals, which is happening here in Rwanda from 22nd May to 31st May here on RTV. I'm Adam Squizera. Thank you.
Thank you to Adam Squizera for that insightful interview. Now moving ahead, during the closing discussions of the 4-day Nuclear Energy Innovation Summit for Africa held here in Rwanda, young people were encouraged to play an active role in shaping the future of nuclear energy, which is expected to provide many of the solutions needed by the African continent. The youth who participated in the discussions were reminded that they make up more than 70% of Africa's population and therefore carry a major responsibility to study, acquire skills, and enter the different professions required in the nuclear energy sector.
The future belongs to us in the sense that after this generation runs out, we are going to take responsibility of handling all the happenings of the continent. And in that regard, you need to think about what development will look like in the future, what industrialization would look like in the future, and also there's a question of the climate change and what have you. So nuclear energy provides an opportunity, or it offers a clean energy that is reliable and sustainable, that can sustain the industrial revolution of the African continent, and also in line with the AU 2026-3 agenda. So this is why we are so much interested in this technology, and we want to see that Africa is able to deploy this technology on the continent and we're able to use it.
Let me first focus on my country. More than 80% of South Sudanese population don't have access to electricity. The second thing also, there is instability. So and there is a lot of war, conflict in and out, right? And without stability, we could not be able to participate in nuclear community. So without the stability, there is no guarantee that our countries could be able to protect the nuclear energies or power plant developed in our country. So it's very important for young people to be able to participate in this environment, not only developing the nuclear power plants or whatever, engaging in innovation, but creating fees for stability to happen in their countries.
Among Rwandans' broad development goals is ensuring sufficient electricity generation to support industrial growth and other sectors. Rwanda has already begun preliminary activities leading to the construction of a nuclear power plant. Rwandan youth say they clearly understand that they must take part in this effort because of the opportunities the country has created.
The reason why I think the youth should be involved in nuclear energy mainly is because looking on Rwandan's side, Rwanda is aiming to become an industry hub. And industry runs on power. And if you're going to go with the vision of Rwanda, it becoming an industry hub, yes, you have to learn more about nuclear energy. And since it's coming up, there are opportunities too coming up with the building of the nuclear infrastructure. So the reason why I can encourage youth to participate more in nuclear energy is because there are opportunities that will come up with the nuclear infrastructure, yes, and it's also that since we are becoming an industry hub, you should learn more of where Rwanda is going. Yes, I am ready to be part of that vision. And as a matter of fact, I did my research thanks to the attendance in NYESA 2026 and was actually able to learn more about the IAEA's vision, whereby the statement published was called The Atom and the Algorithm. They emphasized that AI was actually being used in nuclear energy production, right? Whereby the AI was used in optimizing reactor designs. The AI is currently being used in predicting when the equipment will fail. So yes, I'm ready to contribute to that vision, since Rwanda Coding Academy is training us in those AI technologies. So yes, if Rwanda is willing to adopt nuclear energy, will contribute in integrating those AI technologies. That's what I can say.
Rwanda's Minister of Youth and Arts, Jean-Nepo Abdallah Utumatwishima, told the youth that compared to other continents, Africa still lags far behind in energy sector development. He urged them to study key subjects in science and nuclear technology so they can become the skilled workforce needed in the future, while also calling on governments to support them.
Many people have just said how Africa is a youthful continent. One number, 60% of the entire continent is under 25. So no government can put youth out of the national development and think they are safe. No. So, for example, in this conference, we have been intentional to invite young people from secondary schools, from universities, to be at the very conference. So it is intentional. So governments have to be intentional to bring young people at the table so that they can contribute. When they come here in the conference, I always tell young people that their attendance must not be the end in itself. So maybe they can go with the research projects, and then they can propose as some solutions later. Government must be intentional to put the youth at the center. We should try to mobilize resources to fund research grants for the young people, but also we need to be in leadership positions like we are, and even in parliament, to put young people there so that they can lead change that I want.
The chairperson of the board of Rwanda's Atomic Energy Board, Lassina Zerbel, assured African youth that the discussions held during the conference would help create opportunities for internships and employment in the nuclear sector.
But we've also talked about philanthropy, and then it has been a topic today. And when you saw the list of the philanthropic institutions, I would like to see some of our big and main financial gurus, if I could say it, in the continent, to join this coalition for the continent so that we don't only see philanthropy from elsewhere coming to help us. We have our own gurus, financial gurus, who can help the young generation move forward for this nuclear energy implementation. I've talked to the president who were present about it, and then they're looking forward to getting some of them to join us. For you, the young people present in the room.
This was the second time the summit has been hosted in Rwanda. It brought together more than 1,500 participants from 58 countries. It was also the first edition to include discussions specifically focused on the role of African youth in the future of nuclear energy. The next conference is expected to be held in Togo. Moving ahead, international students studying at universities here in Rwanda say that factors including security, the quality of education, and positive recommendations from former students are what motivated them to come and pursue their studies in the country.
I'm so glad to see Rwanda is a very clean country, and I just wish maybe next time I can make a family over here. It is influenced from my elder brother. We came here, we studied in the UK some time back, so I also followed the road step. Yeah, because they have better results, and I also want to have better results too. Performance is better here. Yeah, we have completed like 5 models, and the performance is really high, like 80 something. Right, all the lecturers they're giving better work to us and a lot of stuff like that.
Oh, it's going great. The school is very inclusive. We get to, they're very, they want the students to experience learning outside of the classroom. So yeah, that's one good thing.
I came here because it is a peaceful country. Yeah, the security is stable and everything is good. Yeah, the economy also is stable. So I like this country. That's why I chose Rwanda to come. I studied in ULK. I'm in law. Yeah, I'm looking for a degree, and after I finish, I might go back to my country and do something good also.
Mozambique's Defense Minister Cristóvão Chum today paid a courtesy visit to the Rwanda Security Force in Mocimboa da Praia, and the minister was accompanied by Brigadier General Thomas Francisco, Deputy Army Commander of the Mozambique Armed Forces, along with other senior officers. The minister and his delegation were received at the RSF headquarters by the Joint Task Force Commander, Brigadier General C.M. Mujuni, and senior staff officers. During the visit, the Joint Task Force Commander briefed the minister on the prevailing security situation and the status of ongoing operations across Cabo Delgado province. Minister Shum expressed his appreciation to the Rwanda Security Force for its critical contribution to combating terrorism in northern Mozambique, particularly in Cabo Delgado province. He further emphasized the Mozambican government's commitment to strengthening the long-standing friendship and bilateral cooperation between Mozambique and Rwanda. Staff of the Rwanda Social Security Board, RSSB, have been urged to continue fighting genocide ideology, divisionism, and any actions that could undermine the unity of Rwandans. The call was made during the 32nd commemoration of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. William Evans Mutawazi with more.
The event began with the laying of wreaths at the memorial, bearing the names of former employees who were killed during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. The commemoration later continued at the Kigali Genocide Memorial in Gisozi, where RSSB staff and leadership paid tribute to the victims, laid to rest there, and laid flowers on the graves. Participants also attended a discussion on the history of the genocide against the Tutsi. A testimony by genocide survivor Emirance Katesi highlighted the suffering survivors endured during the genocide and the resilience shown in rebuilding their lives afterwards. Dear friends and families, life during the genocide against the Tutsi was unimaginable. We hardly felt hunger or anything. It was a very traumatizing situation. Sometimes, when I look back, I just say it was God's grace that sustained us. Rwanda Social Security Board Executive Officer reminded employees that remembrance should serve as a source of strength in the fight against genocide ideology and anything that could divide Rwandans. Our colleagues who we remember today, whose names were read earlier, were just like us all. They had dreams, loved their country, and had families. In addition, they loved their work. As RSSB family, we shall never stop remembering our beloved ones who were killed during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi because in remembering them is where we draw the strength to fight against the genocide ideology, divisions, and all other things that may disrupt our unity as Rwandans. Our unity is a strong pillar we must continue building on everything we plan to do. The Secretary General of Ibuka commended RSSB for its role in supporting genocide survivors through initiatives aimed at improving their welfare, including housing support. Remembering is not just an event, it's a responsibility. It's returning honor to the victims, protecting facts of our history, and continuing to build a Rwanda free from genocide ideology and divisionism. As Ibuka, we thank the leadership of RSSB for the continued support and commitment to the development initiatives supporting the well-being of survivors of the genocide against the Tutsi, including housing and honoring them. A total of 19 former employees of Caisse Sociale du Rwanda who were killed during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi were honored during the commemoration. William Evans, RwandaTV News.
Africa Global Logistics says platforms such as the Africa CEO Forum 2026 are key in advancing Africa's journey toward greater self-reliance and a more sustainable economy. The company says engagements held during the forum have strengthened its resolve to move even faster in providing world-class logistics solutions that support trade, connectivity, and economic transformation across African economies. William Evans with more.
As the African CEO Forum brought together business leaders, investors, and policymakers from across the continent in Kigali, logistics giant Africa Global Logistics says the conversations held during the forum are already translating into concrete action. The company says discussions with different stakeholders, including Rwandan institutions, have opened a new chapter of partnerships aimed at accelerating investments, skills development, and operational expansion in Africa. AGL Rwanda Managing Director Roger Nkubito says several long-standing discussions were concluded during the forum, paving the way for immediate implementation of projects and stronger cooperation with both public and private sector partners.
Hari ibyo twagezeho bikomeye. Icyambere twashoboye kurangiza ibiganiro twari dufite.
There are things that were achieved. Firstly, we have been able to finalize conversations with different stakeholders, including some from Rwanda like RDB, and our leaders met with the president. These agreements addressed a number of important issues that have been pending for some time now. These have been discussed and resolved. There are also some requests that our leadership have received from different stakeholders. Following these discussions, we are going to be doing much more than we have been doing, including capacity building and skilling of our employees, financial resources, and digital resources. A number of pending projects that would have been implemented next year will be embarked on starting next week. The company also used the forum to officially highlight its growing operational footprint in Rwanda through the inauguration of AGL Expertise Center in Kigali.
The edition in Kigali is really interesting, to be honest, because it's really well organized. And for sure, we met a lot of Rwandese and African partners. And we also inaugurated our AGL Expertise Center. It's a center where we have teams in Kigali, Rwanda, to have our corporate services and to recruit African talents.
AGL says that beyond participating in continental forums, the company is increasingly focusing on creating value directly from Africa by relocating critical services closer to the markets they serve.
Mu rwego rw'ubucuruzi nk'umucuruzi haba ibintu bibiri, hari ikintu cyitwa value creation.
In business, there are two major things. One is value addition and the other is value creation. All customers purchase value. Therefore, you just cannot have conversations or attend meetings and forums without adding value and selling that very value. For us as AGL, beyond such engagements, we are already doing value addition. Because of this, our corporate services have been moved to Africa from our headquarters in France. These services are now being offered here in Rwanda under what we call Africa Global Logistics Competence Center. These services include compliance, cyber security, export and quality control, and other services offered to over 250 AGL centers across Africa. Africa's self-reliance begins from this. AGL currently operates in 51 countries, including 47 across Africa, and employs more than 23,000 people continent-wide. In Rwanda, the company continues to expand its investments in logistics, freight forwarding, and corporate support services, with the newly launched competence center expected to support operations across more than 250 AGL locations in Africa, while also creating opportunities for local talent development and digital skill transfer. William Evans, RwandaTV News.
And on that note, we have come to the end of tonight's English Bulletin. On behalf of the news production team, thank you for sticking with us here on RwandaTV News. Until next time, stay safe and have a good night.